Welcome to my show, simply entitled Women Influencers. I am Veronica Malolos, CCIM, founder and CEO of the Capstack Group of Companies, providing commercial real estate development, brokerage, and property management services in the greater Orlando area. Today's guest is Michelle Leung, CCIM. Born and raised in Hong Kong before moving to Canada, she's an executive coach, founder of a nonprofit, a commercial real estate expert, and a very good friend. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe below. I welcome your comments and please share with someone who can benefit from this podcast. Well, hello, my friend, Michelle. How are you doing today?
Hi, Veronica. How are you doing?
I'm great. And you're back in Canada. I know we just spent a few days together. How's the weather over there?
It's cold here. We have -2, feels like -10, which is around 0 Fahrenheit.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm glad I'm not in Canada and I'm in Florida. But anyway, I am dying to hear your story. So thank you so much for being here today. So tell us about how you grew up in your environment and how you got to where you are today, Michelle.
Thank you, Veronica. So I'll start with my childhood. I was born in Hong Kong. I spent my childhood and I was brought up over there. And I'm the single child, so my parents focused on me all the time. And then we were in very, very close together. We were a very good relationship, me and my parents. And then I got immigrated around 95 to Canada, and I finished my schooling in Canada. And then I go back to Hong Kong to work. That is actually a very big decision back then. So I didn't actually have any job. My first job is actually in Hong Kong. I was in marketing, and I am doing marketing for mobile phones accessories. And after 10 years of running around, my clients is in UK, in LA, and I have to go to China to work. So 24/7. And then I was like, no, I need my life back. I need my life back. So I decided to come back to Canada. And when I first come back to Canada, I was with a job offer for marketing. And however, I understand that the tax implication on a salary-based work is not very desirable. So I decided I would like to explore to see if I can actually do some other work, and I get into real estate. And then, so coincidentally, because I have some contacts in Hong Kong and China and Asia, I started with commercial real estate. And that is actually how it started like 15 years ago. And at one point, I think, you know what, like I need more knowledge. I need some understanding of what my clients would like to know in terms of analysis and stuff like that. So I decided to get training, and I got my CCIM in 2019. And that is a very, well, to me, it's a very big milestone, if you ask me, because it changed my life. And so I started my own brokerage and doing commercial real estate, and some of my agents doing residential. And I start actually hiring and firing, and I have 12 of them right now, and they are doing pretty well. They've been with me for quite some time right now.
Okay. And you also have different types of businesses, like you're in the nonprofit and you're also coaching. I mean, not just on the side, but you actually have these types of businesses. Am I correct?
Yes, yes, you're correct. Yeah, so we talk about firing, hiring in terms of people management. I'm not very good at that. So at one point, I need to train myself. I explore to see if I can actually have a more stable, like, talented human resources in my company. So I started to look around, and I get into coaching. I get some coaching training. Now I'm actually an executive coach for. I have about a handful of executives that are actually under my umbrella. And then also because I know them, and that is, again, it's a coincidence around COVID that we want to help people. We want to contribute to the society and bring more to the community. So we say, okay, how can we help? So instead of just donation, can we do something else? So I started a nonprofit, and that nonprofit called I Cherish. And their mission is find a need, fill with joy. So what we
Mm.
do is we will actually giving you a platform for the donation. The donation doesn't have to be tangible like money. It can be anything. So last year, and we have a signature event every single year that we are doing soccer tournament because the co-founder actually plays soccer. So the theme is do whatever you do in your leisure time anyways, we will find you a platform to donate to the beneficiary. And this is the theme of it.
Oh, I love that. So I hear a lot of passion from your voice when it comes to your nonprofit. Would you say that this is the one thing that you do that gives you the most joy?
I would say it's different kind of joy. When you're doing your real estate, that is work. Okay, the joy is coming from the client. The joy, yes, like I have to admit that it has to close the deal to get the joy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
However, right? Yeah. However, but if we're doing the I Cherish the nonprofit, there is no measure. You're just, enjoying yourself. You gather a lot of people together. We have last event, we have over 300 attendees and 100 volunteers. And I think that's the most joy that I enjoy is because you actually bring in the unity and community together and then just for the good cause, right? So I think that's the passion that that's coming from.
Yeah, I certainly feel how much you cherish that portion of what you do, and I just love to hear that passion from someone like you. So, Michelle, if there was one challenge that comes to mind that you've overcome,
Mm.
are you comfortable sharing what that challenge is with the audience?
Yes, for sure. The challenge, as I spoke already, it would be the hiring and firing when I started my brokerage, because in order to have a better people management skills, I really have to understand how they think, how I think, and how the interaction would be more smooth and streamlined. And that is actually one of the challenge. I spend a lot of time kind of like, listen to podcasts, read books, and finally I find a way out in terms of, getting myself trained. But that challenge actually it was a little bit devastating at that point because it's very disappointed, especially when it's more emotional. It's you felt connected, but the end is not. You it will be disappointed. Like that's emotional feeling rather than just not doing a deal. However, I think like reading books and going to the training helps me a lot. And of course, like as I have on the side, I have the nonprofit that helps me a lot because it's balanced out the passion with this kind of like good work that we all do.
Yeah, so very interesting because I think every organization, or at least a new entrepreneur, who
Mm.
has to manage people and has had no training or experience in that probably face the same challenges, right?
Ex-
It's not easy. People
yeah,
management is not easy. And
exactly.
so yes, definitely I'm glad that you was there a particular training program that you would speak about
Yes,
that
I'm
actually
actually
made a
with
difference?
Coactive training. Coactive actually they trained executive coach, and now for me being executive coach, I am so glad and so blessed that all my clients like we build up the trust already. We talk a lot in terms of how I can help. Now I can actually use the skill set to help people or women that is actually overcoming the challenge, having the challenge. I have my experience to share, like been there, done that, and I understand more how we can actually face it all together.
That's pretty fantastic how you've taken the one challenge. And I'm sure, like you said, it was disappointing on many levels, right?
Mm,
Because it is hard to hire and train and then have to rehire and retrain.
yeah.
And that's really one of the challenges of an entrepreneur, not just women, but in
Mm,
general. And for
mm,
organizations, of
mm,
course, the turnover is such a big challenge. And I'm glad that not only did you seek training, you actually became an executive coach for it. So that's fantastic. I wanted to move on and ask you about influence
mm.
and an outcome that has an impact that you're most proud of, that you had influence on.
And I assume that would be your nonprofit.
Yes, that is actually the most proud of. And of course, I'm actually involved in two nonprofit at the moment. One is my own. We do locally, like the platform, the I Cherish Foundation. And the second one would be the CCIM. And recently, I just finished my presidency in the local chapter. And I think that's another influence on the same token that we actually bring in the unity and community together. We doubled our membership, we bring up the awareness, and people are more aware of this training. And we would actually help more clients in the commercial real estate space.
Yeah, so very, very interesting how when you volunteer, just like we both do, and we know each other from CCIM leadership, of course,
Yeah.
but it's this impact of volunteering and just on every level, right? That makes a difference in a community. And talk a little bit about your foundation. What is the name of your foundation and the nonprofit, and how that impacts your community as well?
Okay, the name of it is I Cherish Foundation. Um, we actually spent some time on this name. It's a small little I and a big cherish. Yeah, because we want to let people know, even look at the name. That is something like so much things that we want to cherish and appreciate in life. Okay, so that's first of all. And as I said, the mission is find a need, fill with joy. There's so much that we need, and are we actually filling it with joy? I think that's the question behind when we actually find our mission here. And the influence to us and to the volunteers and to the community is actually very, very broad. People would actually see us like doing a lot of like community work. We bring all the volunteers together. I think it's really difficult to actually see right now in our society with all the social media. We are lacking of interaction, like people interaction, and how we can actually help each other. And last year we actually do the fundraising for a hospital locally, and we raised 20,000 for them, and in one day. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. The organizing is challenging, but it's all work out.
I love stories like that. It's really pretty fantastic. So let me ask you, Michelle, if there was one piece of advice you can give to our audience, what would that be?
I would say be yourself and do well. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about that. What does that mean to you, and how does that apply? How did that live out in your own life, and how could someone take that quote and apply it to themselves?
Mm. That is actually my company slogan for my coaching, and I actually have it on my everything, on my stationery and everything. Be yourself and do well, because I believe that as a human we actually have to be yourself first, like the being first, and then you can actually act it out like the being. So I really believe in the being and the doing. And why do I say be yourself is we can change. Like we know is we were born with the characteristics and personality. We can change a lot. We can modify, we can refine, we can improve. But deep down we are just we are just us. So that's why we want to have like everybody to appreciate their own character, they appreciate their own talent, so that they can actually exhibit more of their passion and compassion to the world, to their career space that they are actually working in. And I think like there will be a way in terms of how to be yourself but not be other, like not people pleaser, but people will be appreciating what you do for the world.
Yeah, and consequently do well, right?
Exactly, exactly.
I love it. I love it. So we've come to the portion of the interview where you get to ask me a question. So go ahead, Michelle.
I would like to know what makes you interested in having me in your podcast.
Okay, so great question, and thank you for that. I want to say to you and to the audience, and we're doing well as a podcast. This
Mm,
is a storytelling podcast. So
mm,
I'm always interested in people's stories. And so when I come across a woman like you, for instance, Michelle, who has a lot of color to their life and their journey, I think that that connects very, very well with other women, or even just, and I have male subscribers to this podcast.
Mm,
So I think people in general are very much interested in people's journeys
mm,
because people often think that in that particular season of their life, that it doesn't get any better, or
mm,
that it's so good that it could never get worse, right? And yet, when I bring people like you onto this show and people get to hear the seasons and the different paths that my guests actually take to
mm,
get to where they are today, I think it does provide a different sense and perspective of how life really is. Life is not one way, and
mm,
certainly not one way for everybody.
mm,
It is different for everybody, and everybody actually has to go through their own seasons. So that's really the goal of this show. And so when I'm looking to invite people like you, Michelle, I always am very, very curious and interested in their life story so
mm,
that their journeys are shared with others and gives them a different perspective of
mm,
how people, everybody has to go
mm,
through challenges. And
mm.
really, if we think about how diverse we are in terms of how we grew up and where we come from. I love immigrant stories, by the way, because I'm an immigrant myself. And I think it lends a lot of shades to the way that people otherwise who are not immigrants can be exposed to. So that's the answer to your question, and I want to thank you for being here today, Michelle, all the way from Canada. I really appreciate you, and certainly look forward to more interaction with you, especially because we're together in leadership in the CCIM Institute. Do you have some parting words for our audience?
Just be yourself and do well.
Well, how do they find you if they want to connect with you, looking for coaching or consulting? What is the best way to connect with you?
For coaching and consulting, I can actually send you the contact. We do have like a contact that I can actually send it to you. Email me. We are not doing a website because that is actually very coaching is actually very personal. We don't actually advertise for coaching, but I can actually send you the contact. And for I Cherish, I can send you the webpage. You can always take a look at our events and donate. And yeah, and then that's the way that you can actually reach me.
And of course, for commercial real estate, I'm sure you're all over the website, all over the internet, and also on LinkedIn. And
Yep.
we'll certainly post your contact information on the episode. Well, thank you, Michelle. And I know I'm going to see you soon. So take care and stay warm.
Thank you. Take care.